In one day, I can go from $18 worth of leather to $1,194 of sellable product. And there's absolutely no magic involved, despite what old David Copperrivet over there thinks. It's simply a matter of following my 5 secrets to pricing my work. And you don't even have to sell leather goods. You could sell your wood projects. You could sell homemade soaps and candles. I don't even care if you're selling macrame Twizzlers into homemade edible Afghans. These pricing strategies work great so long as you make the product yourself. I'll even share with you my exact pricing formula. So, without any further ado, here are my 5 secrets to pricing my work. Secret number 1 is to find an acceptable price range. So to find my acceptable price range, the first thing I did was looked online. You can look on Facebook Marketplace. You can look on Instagram for the same products. You can look on Etsy. You can go to Amazon to look at similar products. I even went into the stores to find where products like mine were being priced at. Prices were all over the place. I knew the range from low to high, and I knew that my products had to fall somewhere in between there. So now that I knew the range where I needed to price my products, I did a simple equation. I did the time to make my projects, plus the materials for my projects, and then a profit margin as well. Secret number 2 is to offer yourself a fair wage. So cowboy, I'm reading your resume here. What makes you think you can work for Big Stack Small Workshop? Well, I've spent the last 11 years watching YouTube videos. I figured, how hard could this be? And you have any experience working with leather? Working with leather? Do I look like Don Gonzalez? Well, Junior, can you at least make beginner projects? Yes, I can, because I watched this video from Big Stack Small Workshop. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You're hired. Here's your work uniform. Thanks, boss man. That's Mr. Boss Man to you. Why do I feel like I'm going to regret this? I needed to pick an hourly rate where I felt comfortable. Something that was fair to me. I could have gone way out there and said $100 an hour and been off the money because my products would be priced too high. Or I could have gone super low and said $10 an hour, which would not have been a good idea either, because then my products would be priced way too low and I would not be fair to myself. So I'm serious. I want you to really pick an hourly rate that works well for you. You need to be fair to your customer with this rate, but you also need to be fair to yourself because your time's worth money, and don't undercut yourself. If you want my profit margin, don't skip around. I promise that I put it in the video for you. So once I hired myself as an employee, I decided I needed to optimize my time. Secret number 3 is to make an assembly line. Setup and tear down takes time when you're in the shop. You have to pull tools out, put tools away, clean your work surface, clean up your messes. By taking each product that I made and making multiples, I can make 10 at a time, 12 at a time, all depending on what the product was. Sometimes I'd make 30, 40, 50 products at a time. If the first step in the product was to cut it out, I cut everything out. I cut all my pieces out. If the second step was gluing it up, I glued them all up. If the third step was fastening them together, then I fastened them all together. And keep track of your time while you're doing this. Once you find out how long it takes to do all the steps of that process, you add all that time together, you divide it by 50, and you know the amount of time it takes you to make each single product. Secret number 4, use shortcuts. Now, when I say shortcuts, you're not sacrificing the integrity of your work. You're not sacrificing the final product, what it's going to look like, but you're thinking smarter, not harder. If you're making multiple cuts for a product and they're all going to look the same, what you could do is called stack cuts. You could stack your wood, your leather, your fabric, whatever it is. Make sure it all stays in one spot. Use double-sided tape if you have to, and then cut it out all at once. When I make the cord keeper, it's nothing but a 3-inch circle. So I could draw 3-inch circles all day long and then cut them out. But what's even easier than that is I use a die cutter. The die cutter cost me less than $10, and it saves a lot of time when cutting out all those circles. Using templates is also a big time saver. If I have a product that's going to take holes in certain places, I go ahead and mark them with a template and then go drill or punch out the holes real fast. This saves me a lot of time, and it doesn't sacrifice the integrity of the finished product at all. Another shortcut you can do is to use power tools to cut your production time. For example, you can use a disc sander to even out your edges faster. I also use a lathe to burnish my edges. If you don't have a lathe, but you do have a Dremel, you can find an attachment online for your Dremel to burnish edges. Also, drill presses can be used to make stitching holes super fast. All of these shortcuts are great for saving me a lot of time, and it doesn't sacrifice the integrity of my finished product at all. I want you to think about this just for a moment. If you reduce the amount of time it takes you to make a project, and you keep the same exact labor rate, you're not sacrificing any pay to yourself, and you're offering a more competitive price for your customer. If you have a pricing strategy or secret that I haven't mentioned yet, I'd love to hear about it. Do me a favor, drop it in a comment below so all the members of the Big Stacks family of makers can see it. Secret number 5. Is it really a profit margin, or is it more of an overhead? I'll explain. Most people think, well, I'm paying myself an hourly rate and I'm covering the cost of my materials. I should be good, right? What happens when you decide you want to run a sale or you want to discount something? You need some fair wiggle room for yourself in that situation. And I know before that I called it a profit margin, but you also have other people to pay. In addition to you as your worker, there's a lot of other hats that you wear. You're also the accountant who figures out how much things are going to cost. If you're selling your stuff online, you're also your own marketer, or if you're selling your stuff in person, you're a salesperson. There's R&D that you do, shipping and receiving, and of course, Mr. Boss Man always gets his cut. Then you need to cover miscellaneous supplies that are sometimes hard to cover in a material cost, like adhesives and glues, screws and inexpensive fasteners, and any finish, dye, or stain you might use. Now, with all these secrets I've just shared with you, you can price your work with complete honesty and integrity. And now the number that you've been waiting for. This is Mr. Boss Man's secret to marking up his products for overhead. Well, I take my cost of materials times my labor rate and multiply that by 50%. Which means between optimal production time and using shortcuts, I can get my cord keeper down to $4 each, my cable keeper to $6 each, and my dresser valet at $7 each. Remember, Big Stacks grows, Big Stacks builds, and Big Stacks makes. If you're looking for an inexpensive set of quality punches, check out this video right here, where I go over 4 different punch sets on Amazon under $20. And I'll see you next time at Big Stacks Small Workshop.